Okay, about cutting those t-shirts, it's finally time to do it. Now, I hope you've watched the video about planning and prep and the one on stabilizers. They're important because those choices, the planning and the prep and the stabilizers that you use, they make a difference on how I go about cutting the t-shirts up. For instance, if I'm going to use an iron-on stabilizer, I usually just cut right up the back of the t-shirt, open it out, and put the stabilizer down. The t-shirt is already face down on my pressing mat, and I cut out my stabilizer and I heat set it. And so one step right there, slice open the back of the t-shirt, put down the stabilizer, heat set it with the iron. Now, if I'm going to use the starch method, it's a little bit different. I just do a really rough cut along the sides, very generous along the sides, and only cutting off right at the shoulder seams and along the neckline and across the top of the shoulders. I want that shirt, the part that I'm going to be using, as large as I can possibly get it. I'll be doing cutting again if I'm going to be adding borders, and then of course, you know, the trimming process after the blocks are layered and quilted, they need to be trimmed up exactly before they're joined up into the quilt. So I need some room for seam allowances if I'm going to add fabrics. I need some room for shrinkage while I'm machine quilting, and then again for the trimming process. So the theory on cutting is cut large. Always cut large. And you know, you start with the largest design that you have. Like this blue t-shirt is going into the next quilt I'm going to make. It's all about locations, like places I've been and places I want to go. And I really like this blue design, but you can see it's huge. And I'm going to try and get the full 18 inches out of that design. That means that every other block in the quilt has to be that big. I want all my blocks to be the same size, right? So if I have something that's a lot smaller design and I want it to fit in, I'm going to add some fabrics around that image before I put it into a block size and then layer it and quilt it. So all of those factors make a difference in how I cut my t-shirts. Now, that being said, there's always something. There's always something. So let me go through just a few things that I've run into. For instance, this balloon t-shirt, gorgeous. Look at this. The design goes right up into the neckline. I'm not going to use a ribbed neckline as part of my block. So basically, I'm going to cut across this balloon design. It's small and it's not really an important part of the overall design. It'll be cut off, and that's the way life goes. Now, this brown shirt, when I flipped it over to take a good look at it, this is the stabilizer. It's the same type of stabilizer I'm talking about using. It was used to stabilize the embroidery on this, and there's too much of it. It's folding over onto itself. I don't need that bulk when I'm going to be making my quilt block or quilting. So I need to trim all of this away from the embroidery. And speaking of embroidery, look at this green t-shirt. I have never ever seen a stabilizer this thick used to back up embroidery on a t-shirt. I can't even smooth it out flat with my hands. It just keeps bunching up. So I've got to press it flat first before I can even measure the shirt and figure out what kind of stabilizer I'm going to use on it. Just a few tips there on cutting, again touching a little bit on the stabilizers and a little bit on the planning, like the size of blocks that you want to make your quilt. The bottom line is always, always, always leave enough room for all the trimming that's involved with making a quilt block and then doing the quilt as you go process, which includes another set of trimming cuts before the blocks are all joined up. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the videos. If you haven't seen them all, I have an intro about the book. I have one about planning and prep and another one about stabilizing. I hope that you will check out the book on Amazon, and I hope you're inspired enough now from my videos to try your hand at making a t-shirt quilt. With our Quilt As You Go process, it is so simple and so easy. Thanks so much for watching.